Welcome to another edition of The Sharp Edge. Week 1 of the college football season is in the books. It's time to get ready for week 1 of the NFL season. But before we get into our college picks and our NFL picks for this weekend, let's take a look back at last week and see how we did ATS, or against the spread. We start with the Wisconsin game where they were 35-point favorites and they won the game by 31. So we did not cover the spread there. We'll take an L on that one. Ohio State, they covered because they are one of the most talented teams in the country. It was never a doubt, even with the lightning delay, they still scored enough points to give us the cover. Texas, that was disappointing. I expected them to be much more prepared than a Maryland team that was dealing with a lot of distractions during the week, but credit to interim head coach Matt Canada for getting the Terrapins ready to play that game, and not only did they cover the spread, but Maryland won it outright. Auburn, well, they're our darlings. We love Jarrett Stidham and we love the Auburn Tigers. They are going to be a contender, not just for the SEC West, but for the national championship as well. They covered for us. How about Notre Dame? They had no business being an underdog. And yes, I know on our show last week, we had them as -1, but by the time that game kicked off, they were 2.5-point underdogs. Michigan, the most overhyped team in the country. There was no reason they should have been favored going into Notre Dame Stadium, and the Irish proved us right by beating the Wolverines. And then finally, LSU, we told you they weren't just going to cover, they were going to win the game outright, and that's exactly what they did on Sunday in primetime, giving us a 4-2 record against the spread for week 1. Now let's take a look at week 2. This is our first week with both college and pro football action, so we'll continue to give you 6 picks, but we're going to split them up. 3 in college, 3 in the pros. Let's start with Saturday's college football action. And the first game, ooh, this is juicy. This is so juicy. I'm looking at you, Michigan. Yes, the Wolverines, the most overrated and overhyped team in the country. You see, people don't understand that when Vegas makes a point spread, they want the action to come in on both sides. They know that the Michigan faithful are going to flood the sports books with their money because they love their Wolverines, they love Jim Harbaugh, but this team, they're not that great. Sure, they're talented, but they're 9-9 in their last 18 games. Harbaugh hasn't done anything like I said before, and so 28-point favorites, granted at home, and yes, against Western Michigan, but look at what the Broncos did last week at Syracuse, putting up all those points. I think their offense is going to be very potent against Michigan, especially a Michigan defensive front that didn't get any penetration against Notre Dame. Rashawn Gary, I'm looking at you. Take Western Michigan plus the 28 points. Next, we'll head to College Station, where Texas A&M is hosting the number 2 team in the country, the Clemson Tigers. It's a tremendous atmosphere at Kyle Field, especially after they did the expansion to the stadium. The 12th man is going to be roaring, and the Jimbo Fisher era got off to a great start in week 1. Travion Williams running all over the field. But it's not going to happen this week against Clemson because Clemson, they are too talented. They are right up there with Alabama as the top 2 teams in the country. And even though road favorites normally are sucker bets, I'm going to be the sucker. I'll lay the points and I'll take the Tigers. For my next game, you guys are going to have to stay up a little late for this one. A little Pac-12 after dark action. Stanford hosting USC. And last week, Stanford's rushing attack got bottled up. Bryce Love's Heisman campaign took a major hit after just 1 game of the season. But they found something in their passing offense. And I think this opens the door now for Bryce Love to see less men in the box. And I think USC can't stack up the box to stop the run because of what they saw from Stanford last week. So I expect a much more balanced offensive attack from Stanford. I'm going to lay the points with the Cardinal. Week 1 of the NFL season is here, so let's take a look at the 3 picks that we're going with this week. I'll start with the New York Football Giants, the G-Men, as Chris Berman would say. 3.5-point home underdogs. I said it earlier in the video, road favorites are sucker bets. You give me a home dog, especially a team that I think has a good chance to win the NFC East and at the very least be competitive with the Philadelphia Eagles. Give me the Giants with Odell Beckham Jr., Saquon Barkley, Evan Ingram. They're going to cover that 3.5-point line. Next, we'll head to Baltimore, where the Ravens are a touchdown favorite over the Bills. And no offense to Sean McDermott's team, but Nathan Peterman doesn't scare me one bit at the quarterback position. LaShawn McCoy is eligible to play in this game, although he still could find himself on the commissioner's exempt list, something to keep an eye on for you fantasy players who drafted LaShawn McCoy. I'm going to go with the Ravens to cover this touchdown spread. I think they're talented enough defensively to limit the Bills, and I think they're good enough on offense to score a couple of touchdowns here. It'll be a low-scoring game, but 17-3, 17-10, 21-10, I think the Ravens cover the line. For our third NFL game this week, let's head out to sunny California. It's LA. Well, actually, it's Carson, California, Orange County, the StubHub Center, because that's where the Chargers are playing their home games until that new stadium gets built that they're sharing with the Rams. They are my darling team this year. If you've watched earlier videos of the Sharp Edge, I told you I like the Chargers to win their division, and I like them to have a deep playoff run. So go with the Chargers covering a small line against the Kansas City Chiefs. Just 3 points. Hey, Antonio Gates is back. Maybe he catches a touchdown, but I'll lay the points and I'll confidently take the Chargers. That does it for another edition here on the Sharp Edge, week 2 of the college football season, week 1 of the NFL season. Are you commenting, liking our videos on social media, and sharing them with your friends? You could be featured on one of our future videos, so be sure to do that. I'm Scott Seidenberg. This is the Sharp Edge, brought to you by My New Philly, where something's always new and everything's always Philly.